I have a question for you, Benji.
Okay.
So this Vlogtober, I have uploaded one vlog. So I would call that a major success on my end.
Yeah, compared to no uploading.
Compared to, going from 0 to 1 is the hardest, as they say. But I'm started on my second one. I'm about to have it uploaded. And I, as part of it, my new apartment plays a major role as a character throughout the storyline of this vlog. And for me, it's a difficult thing because I want to give context about my apartment because it plays such an important role in the confines of this thing. But I'm also concerned about privacy. Of course, I live there with my girlfriend. I talked to her about it. She had some concerns. I tried to kind of like make sure I was taking those into account. But you've been dealing with this for your entire YouTube career and how you balance your sharing your life publicly while maintaining a deep sense of privacy. Now, I know I haven't made the job easy on myself. I live in the middle of the city, which is highly populated, relatively recognizable. I know that, by me intentionally including as a character, that also makes it difficult as a part of the thing. But I'm curious about what your thoughts are about how you maintain privacy as someone who's sharing your life so publicly and what you choose to make public and what you choose to keep private.
Yeah. Well, you can only keep yourself private online until you can't keep yourself private online. Meaning, well, first off, what you put on there, okay, is going to determine how public your information, the context of your environment, your neighborhood, your community, and then ultimately like where you live and more about you than you want to share. But the thing is, when you go online, you get famous if you get lots of views.
Yeah.
If you create a fandom and people are watching you over and over and over, and people are just curious. And that's not talking about the crazy people that most people are worried about. I'm just talking about, generally speaking, someone that watches you, that wants to know more about you. This is why vlogs ultimately are the ultimate kind of way of connecting. Because, you and I, when we first connected, and you could say when we became friends, we didn't necessarily know that much about each other, right?
Yeah.
But over time, would you agree that both we wanted to know more about each other and that we would ask questions of each other to get to know, right?
Of course.
Okay. That's the natural progression of any relationship, even if it's kind of like creator and viewer.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. And then more information gets put out there. People kind of leave comments. I mean, even people put innocent comments like, oh, they actually live like 1 hour north of Seattle. Okay. So are you going to moderate those comments? And then there's some people like, yeah, they, this is what their house looked like or whatever, And, or like in our case, we put up photos, not even photos, like literally whole vlogs about what our house looked like. So yeah, remember that episode uploaded on January 12th, 2012? Yeah, they
like crowdsourced doxing. That's interesting.
And that's just the innocent
people.
Then there's people that actually try to dox you, whatever. So I remember that moment where I realized, wow, I can't fight all of this. I cannot be public. I have to kind of make a choice that I'm either going to live this public life or I'm not going to live it. That's kind of the choice. It's very black and white. So if you put yourself out there, even if you take steps to keep yourself private, yes, if there's any clues, people like to put those clues together.
Yeah.
That's what I mean about the curiosity. It's like a game for people, whether it's nefarious or it's innocent, and they're going to find out more about you. So my whole philosophy on it is I can only control what I can control, but what other people have control of will always kind of be elusive. And that's both on the legal side, because there's some things that you can actually remove. But again, if you're going against maybe 1 or 2 crazy people versus 1,000 people, well, how much is that going to cost? What kind of effort? So you're kind of deciding, I want to live this public facing. And it's not just my experience or even other creators' experience. It's celebrities.
Yeah, exactly.
Celebrities can't get around it. They have freaking tour buses in Hollywood that stop by your house.
That's true.
Like they park themselves outside the gate of your homes. Like, yeah, this is where Arnold Schwarzenegger lives. He probably never like publicly put out his address.
Yeah.
But you know, I have a history of real estate too. Your name, if it's on the recorded documents, is open for
public
people,
information.
public information.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the context of everything. But that's another thing too. It's like where I live and the people I live next to, I'm familiar with, I have history with, I feel safe in my community. And that's the other thing. I'm always paying attention. We're always having people around us, right? Because I've got kids, got Judy, and totally different situation versus you. One, you're different than your significant other. Totally. Right? Like even if you sign up, you're considered enough for them. And it's just all individual, like what you should do and how you should do it. I do believe there is a way to be completely private, but that has to start at the very beginning. So it's interesting you're asking me this question because now's the time to actually create those guardrails to do it. But it means like you can't show the rest of your apartment, right? Because if there's any clues, think about like even what you bring into the apartment. Say you bring a grocery bag that has the name of the grocery store, especially if something unique to your neighborhood. You definitely can't show anything outside of it. But if you make that, like, so the studio could literally be anywhere. You know, that's kind of the beauty of a studio. It can be anywhere. And people wouldn't know the difference. So it starts there. But guess what happens? Say you got so famous, somebody's like, "Oh, can I take a selfie with you?" Like on your street, in front of your house, and you're like, "Yeah, I can take. Let's take one, right?" And that person left a comment, "Oh, so good to meet you. Sorry I was disturbing you, before you were going," you know what I'm saying, right?
And then somebody goes to their profile and sees the picture with you. Yeah.
It's like internet investigation that you can't control. And what you can't control will be uncontrollable.
You know what's interesting about this is that now that you're mentioning that, I'm thinking about the beginning of ChatGPT and how people were kind of putting their own photos into ChatGPT, screenshots of them, I think without the EXIF data and everything on the back end of it, all that metadata, and saying, where is this? And it was pretty good at guessing where people were at. So now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of like if you have anything related to remotely where you're at image wise, it could be a danger in that regard.
So imagine that person that is super private, right? But what's the social norm when you're famous and one of your fans sees you, right? You would agree to take a picture with them, okay?
Yes, yeah.
And if just one crazy person, but even an innocent fan sees it and they're like, "Oh, I'm just curious. He never talks about where he lives," right? That curiosity actually makes it so that it's inevitable that they're going to find out where you live. And if it just gets put on the internet one time, right, that one time can go to 1,000, could be 100,000. So the more famous you are, the more inevitable people are going to understand more about you than you want them to. It's kind of being at peace. At the end of the day, I'm at peace with being a public person. And it's almost a game of futility to even try not to be public if you're literally going to upload to the internet and you want to become famous.
Yeah, I mean, the extreme of that, where the only thing that you can do to kind of prevent all of that is like CGP Grey, who makes these educational videos. He only ever animates his own videos, right? And so he's not really a public person, but he literally does everything he can to hide his identity behind his YouTube channel. On the other end of that spectrum, this is one of the things I always found most interesting, is Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat's like, here's the address of my studio. And people literally pull up to his studio constantly throughout his vlogs. And they'd show up as characters in it. And maybe he didn't show everything, but like he never complained about it in the vlogs and things like that when I was watching him way back in the day.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe that's been affecting why he creates or doesn't create.
Yeah,
you know? He literally showed even like his neighborhood.
Literally.
Like I remember him riding a skateboard. I was like, oh, I wouldn't want to do that in New York City because really anybody can kind of have access. Or say like someone goes there, you might not know if they're a crazy fan or just a random person. Like in my neighborhood, it would stand out because my neighborhood is just my neighbor. So if there's like a stranger walking by, which, that kind of stuff could happen, but it's more likely to happen in New York City. So I always thought that was interesting. But you're right. CGP Grey, though, does anyone know what he looks like?
I don't think anybody does.
Oh.
Yeah.
But guess what? If somebody did, that picture
I bet
would
you somebody
blow
has.
up.
I haven't looked into it, and so it's possible.